Well, to welcome you guys to Loving Arm Church Waukegan. We're in the book of Numbers here. We'll say that Israel pitched by their own standard. We'll talk about what God is getting ready to do in Numbers and things like that. There's a few facts that I want to bring out in Numbers in the first few chapters so you can know just where this story would take place and from the time that they left Egypt into what now. And Numbers is not so much about the numbers. God is going to call his army and he's going to have Moses to number them. But there's a lot of great information in Numbers that have nothing to do with numbers. Amen. So we're going to get into this and we're going to let go and we're going to let God teach us the Bible. Well, for some of you guys who may be joining us in this chapter, we started in the book of Genesis, and it's our prerogative or our mission to start from the book of Genesis and read the Bible all the way through. So that, first of all, we can deposit that thing and that we can know what God did from the start to finish. I think it's very ill advised of anybody to go to the New Testament and try to learn about Jesus because we understand in the Old Testament, Jesus started in Genesis, not in Matthew. The Jesus that appeared in Matthew was here for a short time to make a payment, but Jesus had made deposit many years in the earth before he showed up here physically. So I just encourage you to become part of a Bible study that studied the whole Bible and leave nothing out. We go from word for word, line upon line, and we put these words on the screen so you can see it. Might not be great about pronouncing some of the old names, but you'll understand what's going on with the storyline. Having said all that, let's get into this here so that we can let go and let God deal with this here. We're going to be in the book of Numbers here, and we're going to start one. And in this first chapter, there is 54 verses because there's a lot going on. But most of the verses you're going to see repeat themselves. So let's see what God said. And the Lord spoke to Moses in the wilderness of Sinai. So we know that he was in Sinai. What is Sinai? Remember that map, and we need to go back to these maps now because Israel is going to be moving here. And so hopefully next week we can show you they was in the wilderness of Sinai, meaning they was in that mountain where Moses were. So they had it still was encamped in that mountain at this time when God spoke to him. But this time God is going to give a timeline how long they had been there in the tabernacle congregation. So Jesus came out. He spoke to Moses in the tabernacle congregation. In other words, he was there. He was there in the tabernacle congregation. So let's read this again so you can understand that Jesus was in that church talking to Moses, because you're going to see it here. And the Lord spoke unto Moses in the wilderness of Sinai, in the tabernacle of the congregation, meaning he was in that church on the first day of the second month, and in the second year after they had came out of the land of Egypt. Now we have a time that say that they were still at Mount Sinai for at least 2 years, because now he's speaking to them. Now, because they're getting ready to, I believe they're getting ready to move. So from the time that Moses led to that mountain, for the time he went up there for the 45 days, and now God, they have learned how to build a temple and did all that stuff before they left Sinai. The rules of the book of Leviticus and all those things was together, and now they're getting ready to move. And so he said, take the sum of all the congregation of the children of Israel after their word family, by the house of their word fathers. And whose house of the father? It's the 12 patriarchs after Jacob's sons. So this is what he's saying here. With the numbers of what their names. Every male by their word poll, from 20 years and upward, that are able to go forth unto war in Israel. Thou and Aaron shall number them by their army. So God now have given them a commandment to number the children of Israel by their what numbers. And with you shall be men of every tribe, one of every everyone head of the house of what Israel. In other words, each one of these 12 kids, okay, God had selected a leader. Now, we're not going to go through all the names. You'll see here, Reuben had, I don't know how you say his name and the rest of them, but you see Reuben, Judah is going all the way to line Zebulun. He's going down to Ephraim with Joseph, and Ephraim and Manasseh and Ephraim was the children of Jacob. And how did the children of Jacob, Joseph, get two leaders? Well, because understand that God took Israel the Levites out, and he gave instead of Levites, uh, uh, Manasseh had a portion, and so that was still 12 tribes because two of them come from what Joseph, and because of Israel belonged to God solely. You said Benjamin had a son by his wife, and it goes on like that. Okay, going backwards here. All right, then Dan, then you had Asher, then you had Gag, then you have Naphtali. Each one of these young men was the leader of their tribe at that point in time. We get down to 16. We're going to try to put all this on the map, and maybe we put it on the map, I can get some of these names down. 16. They were renowns of the congregation. In other words, they were men that the whole congregation of their leader or their father or their group look up to. Princes of the tribe of their what father. So in other words, they was leaders of it, and heads over thousands of what Israel. And Moses and Aaron took these men which were expressed by their what name. So Moses, Aaron, and then now all 12 leaders of Israel here, they took them here, and now they're going to assemble the congregation together. By the assembly of all the congregation together in the first day of the second what month, and they declared their uh, pedigrees after their what family, by the house of their what father, according to the numbers of their what name, from 20 years and upward by the what pole. And the Lord commanded Moses, and he numbered them in the wilderness of Sinai. So that's 2 years. Now Moses is still there at that mountain. They hadn't moved on here, and now he's numbered and determined according to this Bible. And the children of Reuben, Israel's eldest son, see, because Reuben was the firstborn, by their congregation, after their what family, by the house of their what father, according to the numbers of their name, by their posts, every male from 20 years old and upward, and all that were able to go to what war. These are the number of them, even the tribe of what Reuben was 46,500, and the children of Simeon by their congregation after their family, by the house of their what father, chose those that were numbered of them according to the number of the names by their polls, every male 20 years and upward after upward, all that was able to go forth into war. These that were number of them, even the tribe of what Simeon was 59,300. So all they're doing is the people that's able to go to the war. This was not the total sum of Israel. What God is now doing is he's pulling his army together, and I'm letting you see how many men that he had to go and conquer the world here, or to start these wars that is going on. Of the children of Israel, the children of Gad, and that generation after their father, by the house of their father, according to the numbers of the name, was number of names from 20 years and old and upward, all that was able to go to war. These were the numbers of what them, even the tribe of what Gad was 40,5,600 and what 50. For the children of Judah, by their what generation, after their family, by the house of their father, according to the number of their name, from 20 years old and upward, all that was able to go to war. These were the number of them. Even the tribe of what Judah was 3,14,000. Wow, and 600 of the children of Asher by their generation after their family, by the house of their father, according to the number of their name, from 20 years old and upward, all that was able to go to war. These was the number of them. Even the tribe of what Asher was 54,400. And of the children Zebulun, if I'm saying it right, by their generation, after their what family, by the house of their father, according to the number of their name, from 20 years and upward, all that were able to go to war was, these were the number of them, even the tribe of Zebulun, with 57,500. Okay, of the children of Joseph, namely the children of Ephraim. Why is he saying it like that? Because Joseph represent one of the sons represent Joseph, and the other son, if you will, would represent the replacement of the Israelite, because there had to be 12 tribes. By the generation after their family, and by the house of his father, according to the number of his name, from 20 years old and upward, by that was able to go into war. These are the number of the tribe of Ephraim were 40,500. Of the children of what Manasseh, by the generation after the family, by the house of their father, according to the number of thou what name, from 20 years old and upward, all that was able to go to war. These are the number of them, even the tribe of Manasseh, because Ephraim was the older. Manasseh then take the place of Levi, was 30 and 5,200. Of the children of what Benjamin, by their what generation, after their what family, by the house of their father, according to the number of their name, was never named from 20 years old and upwards. All that was able to go to war was, these are the number of the name, even the tribe of what Benjamin was, 30 and 5,400. Of the children of Dan, by the generation after their family, by the house of their father, according to the number of the name of names, from the year from 20 years old and upwards, all that was able to go to war. Those though that were numbered, those that were numbered of them, even the tribe of Dan was 60, well that's 60 and 2,700, because a score is what 10, so three of them would be what 60. Other children of Asher, by their generation after their family, by the house of their father, according to the number of the name, uh, from 20 years and older, uh, all that was able to go forth unto what war. These are the number of them. Even the tribe of Asher were 40 and 1,500 of the children of Naphtali. Throughout their generation, after their war family, by the house of their father, according to the number of the name, from 20 years old and upward, all that was able to go to war. Those that were numbered of them, even the tribe of Naphtali, was 50 and 3,500. These are those who was numbered, and which these are those that was numbered, which Moses and Aaron numbered, and the princes of Israel, being 12 what men's. Why? Because they represent each one of these tribes that we just talked about. Each one was of the house of their what father. So they was the leader of that. So now there was Moses, and now you had these 12 leaders that was under Moses and Aaron here. So were all these but the number of the children of Israel by the house of their father, from 20 years and upward, all that was able to go forth and to war in Israel. Even all they that were numbered were 600,000 and 3,000, 600,000 and 3,500 and what 50. But the Levites, after their tribe of their father, were not numbered among them. See how it was now. When God selected the Levites, He took them unto themselves. So He took a tribe, but in Joseph He gave a tribe. So it still was 12. So now the Levites was not a part of any of this war and stuff like that, because they solely belonged to the Lord. But the Lord spoke unto Moses, saying, only thou shalt not number the tribe of Levi. Why? Neither take the sum of them according to the children of Israel. But thou shalt appoint the Levites over, look, the tabernacle of testimony. Now, most of the time when you see, it's the tabernacle of congregation. And now it's the tabernacle of what testimony. Why? What's that testimony? That testimony is what Jesus started here. Here's the beginning of that testimony He gives. And over the vessel thereof, and over all the things that belong to it. Thou shalt bear the tabernacle and all the vessels thereof, and thou shalt minister unto what it. So their whole focus had to be upon His church and the encampment around about the tabernacle. And so now they had to encamp around it. Now, what I hope to do is show you a picture how God had them put in place by standard, because that's what we was talking about as our message here. In our next subject, because we need to bring up the pictures, we need to bring up the maps again, so now you can see where they at. So that when you see God and them start moving, like they did, like we showed you when they was moving a little bit in Exodus, so you can see where we are. All right. And when the tabernacle is set forth, the Levites shall what? Break it down. Set it forward, the Levites shall what? Take it down. And when the tabernacle shall be what? Pitched, the Levites shall what? Set it up. And so their main job is to make sure that the church was cared for, took it down, because remember, the first church was not a house that Solomon built, it was a tent. So they had to take it down and put it up, because why? They get ready to travel. And God wanted the Levites to solely focus on what they need to do, and he had people to fight. And the stranger that comes nigh shall be what? Put to death. Anybody can come near the house of God, you know. And the children of Israel shall pitch their what? Tent. Every man by his own what? Count. So now what God did was, you'll see that he gonna have them around that church set up in a certain way. It's beautiful. When I saw it, at least I thought, I just always think what God do is beautiful. And the Levites shall pitch around about the tabernacle congregation. So the Levites going to be close to the church. Why? Because they function as the church. And there be no wrath upon the congregation of the congregation of the children of Israel. And the Levites shall keep the charge of the what? Tabernacle of what? Testimony. Now is the tabernacle of testimony. Why? Because that testimony is what God was doing all along. And the children of Israel did according to all the things that the Lord Jesus commanded Moses. So did they. Amen. We just got to uh, Numbers 1, chapter 1, and all God done was showed you the leader of Israel and all the army that he had at his disposal to go to war. So you notice after he named the head leaders of him, he didn't mention any more about them. He went back to the original 12 patriarch and mentioned them on out. That's why I didn't worry about then Naphtali, Gab, and all this other kind of stuff. You know, so because all he's doing is just establish what he's doing here. And the Lord spoke to Abraham, saying, every man of the children of Israel shall pitch his tent in one standard, in his own standard, with the ensign of the house of their father's house. So like with the 12 tribes of Israel, okay, off far off about the tabernacle congregation shall they were pitch it. So they couldn't pitch right up against the church. They had to pitch around it. And the Levites was up right up against the church. On the east side, they on the east side towards the rise of the sun, rising of the sun, shall be the standard of the camp of what Judah pitched throughout their what armies. In other words, Judah had a place. Okay, and Nation, the son of Amagil, if I'm saying it right, shall be the captain of what? Judah. Okay, and it goes back to all those names that they put in here. So this is going to be the head of it. He's the captain. And the host of those that were numbered of what them were three skulls, which is 60 and 40,000 and 600. And so all these they were going to be pitched in that location that God has given them. And those that pitched next to him shall be the tribe of Asher. So Asher was going to be by here, and that guy that they led, he's going to be the captain of them. And the host of those that numbered thereof were 50 and 40,000 and 400. So everything that God said here is going to go down. And Zebedee, the leader that he used and the number that he put in place. So 8 said the host of them that were numbered before thereof were 50 and 70 7,400. And you go back to the previous chapter, what he's doing is he puts them in by standard. Now he's putting them into line so that they can be around this tabernacle here. We're going to show you a picture that make all this make sense to you. Maybe not tonight, but next time we come on, I'm going to make sure I have some pictures here for you so you can see what we discussing here. And all the number of the camp of Judah was 403 skulls and 6,400 throughout their what army. And they shall first set forth. On the south side shall be the standard of the camp of Reuben. So now Reuben gonna come in according to his standard. The captain of Reuben was the Ezar or whoever they put there, and the host of the numbers thereof was 40 and 6,500. And so now God is placing each one of these young men in place. Then that which pitched by him shall be what? Simeon. So Simeon, and you see Reuben, Judah, all these people had a place here. Okay, and then the captain of him was going to be the head of that. This host that they were numbered of them were 50 and what 9,300. On the tribe of Gab, here's the same thing. The captain of Gab was the young man here, and these and his host and those that were number of them were 40 and 5,006 what 600 and what 50. So he's just putting everything in place now, because now you understood how many people he's had, and you're going to see him put all these armies and stuff around his tent, around his around the church. Man, it's going to be beautiful. And all the numbers of the camp of Reuben was in the camp of Reuben was 100,050 and 1,450 throughout their what army, and they set forth in the second rank. So you had the first rank, and now you had the second rank. Okay, then the tabernacle of congregation shall set forth with the camp of the what Levite in the mix of the what camp. See, after they encamp. Okay, so now God is going to set it up, and you're going to see the church is going to be right in the mix of all that. So shall there set forth every man in his place by their what standard. On the west side of the standard of the camp is Ephraim, according to his number. The captain of Ephraim was Maha, whoever that guy is they choose, and the host of them was numbered of them were 40,500. By him shall be the tribe of Manasseh. So now Ephraim and Manasseh was there together. The captain of the what children of Manasseh shall be uh, uh, Gamai, the son of whoever, and the host of those that were numbered in them were 30 and 20,200. Then the tribe of what Benjamin, which Benjamin, and the captain of Benjamin was of Abam, whoever, and the host of them was numbered among them was 35 and 30 and 500 and 4,000. Now all these numbers came from chapter 1. Now, all Jesus was doing is say, okay, I'm putting you over here, I'm putting you over here, and these are the same numbers. So don't get confused about it. So you had two or three of them together, okay, two or three of them together. So it's only 12 tribes of Israel, and he's putting you on the north, south, east, and west. So he's just locking everything in here. So that's how it's going. So don't let the numbers throw you what he's doing. And the number of the camp of Ephraim, okay, because Ephraim was the leader, was 100,000 and 800 and 100 throughout the what army. So you had Reuben, the firstborn, and you had the group of people that were with Reuben. Then you had uh, uh, um, it was Reuben, Judah, and then you had now the leader of Ephraim, and all those guys where Ephraim was. And so now you're finna go into what Dan here. Okay, so Ephraim were 400, 100,000 and 800 and 100 throughout their what army, and they shall be go forth in the third rank. So now we're at the third rank. So now you get into the fourth rank. Now I'm going to try to break this down so it can make a little bit more sense coming up, so that when we go into chapter 3, we can have all these breakdowns. So we're not going to be in so much war in chapter 3. You're going to see God start doing other things. And the standard of them shall be on the what north side by their what armies, and the captain of the children of Dan shall be uh, whoever his name is, and the host of them, what number of what them were three skulls and 2,700, the same that was in the previous chapter. So he's not adding more numbers and stuff. What he's doing is he announced a small part of what he was doing, and now he's putting everything in place so that you can follow along with it. Okay, and those that encamp by him, see, so now Dan gonna have the fourth rank. So the people that Dan is probably the more power tribe at this point, and those who encamp around them, um, uh, it's going to be part of that fourth rank here. Okay, and by him shall be of Asher. And Asher, captain is the children of Asher shall be whoever this young man is, by whoever he had this woman by. And the host of those shall be numbered of what them were 40 and 1,500. And then the tribe of Naphtali, and the captain of Naphtali, and the host of them shall be numbered of them were 50 and 3,500, just like the previous verse, a chapter above. Okay, now all that were numbered in the camp of Dan were 100,000 and 570,600, and they shall go henceforth with their what standard. So they was behind the camp, and these are those that were numbered of the children of Israel by the house of their father. See, again, he did something in one, and he's organizing in two, and these were the numbers of the camps throughout their host was 600,000 and 3,550. But the Levite were not numbered among the children of Israel, but yet they still had 12 tribes. And did that something? As the Lord had commanded Moses. And the children of Israel did according to all that the Lord commanded Moses. So they pitched by their what standard. And so what do you mean they pitched by their standard? Okay, there was 4 ranks. Among the sanctuary was the Levites. So you had 1 rank in the north, 1 rank in the east, 1 rank in the west, and 1 rank in the south here. So they would all camp around the camp, and in the middle of all that was the Levite and the church here. Okay, so that's what he mean by they pitched by the what standard. So they pitched by the what standard, and so set forth everyone after their family according to the house of their fathers. Amen. So there where we at with 34 here. And that's just it. Setting up numbers here. God come in, he organized and say, okay, Moses, let's get my army together. Let me place the armies and stuff like this. Why? Because every time they move their tent, every time they pitch a tent, every time they go to another place, they had to set up the same way. They had to do the same thing here. And so the children of Levite wasn't part of the war, wasn't part of the fight. Their job is to set up the church, make sure the church is moved, make sure the church is carried, make sure the church is set up, and all that. Their whole function was the ministry of the church, and they was not allowed to do anything else outside of that. And God allowed the whole Israel to pay or bless the church to a point that the priests and their families, or the Levites, period, had to focus on that function because it was a good function of God. Well, if you like what you hear tonight, you're to go to LebanonChurchWaukegan.org. Again, that is LebanonChurchWaukegan.org. We're getting ready to go into our live discussion here, so we don't record the live discussion because we can ask any question that you want. I'm here to answer any question. If you want to be a part of this, go to LebanonChurchWaukegan.org. Go to our live broadcast tab. Drop down menu will appear. Please select the Bible study selection. When you select on the Bible study selection, it gives you option to join our Bible study community. If you join our Bible study community, you will get access to a link to go live, to talk to me as you know, and as a bonus, you can give tons of videos teaching things that you can get closer to God. And even if you don't agree, come apart and then ask questions. May God bless each other in your night as we get ready to go what?